In this video I'm going to show you how to make a project in SDL Trados 2019. This video was made in April 2020. At the time of making this video, this is the latest version of SDL Trados Studio 2019. So let's start it up. This version doesn't have a license, it's working in a trial mode, which is what I just accepted. Now, I would imagine most people will watch this after watching the 2017 version. So let's have a look. What have we got here that might be the same or might be different? Well, when we start out, if we have nothing loaded in the projects, we have just welcome, projects, editor, translation, memories. If I open up the sample project, now I can see that we have welcome, projects, files, reports, editor, which is where we will translate, and translation memories. Now let's see if it's the same as 2017. I suggested in the projects view, we can start a new project in many ways, but as it's a project, go to projects and click on new project. Now what we'll see is a slightly different opening screen to what was present in 2017. We also see this, which I always think looks like a metro line, you know, an underground line, a subway line. And there are 9 steps here to make a project. And the idea here is that you can make a project in one step. As we've seen, there are a lot more steps to making a project in Trados than there are in MemoQ. The idea here is to try and simplify things. First of all, let's try and use this one step. Use settings from default project template. Well, again, we don't know what project templates are if it's the first time we've used this. Give the project a name. Okay. Remember, I like to put the languages I'm going to use, location path. This is the default. We could actually change it to something else. The source language I like to change to English Great Britain, which will be above here somewhere. Or is it at the top? Let's have a look. Yes, it is English United Kingdom. And the target language, we want to make it Portuguese from Portugal. So here we're going to get the files. These icons can be a little bit confusing, but the first one here with the blue cross is add files. So let's have a quick look at the files and open them up. So let's open up these 2 texts. So we've got our text here being added. Now, we have to give a name, give a location, choose the source and target language, and get the files. So we've done all that. What we haven't done yet is make or choose a translation memory or memories, and make or choose a term base or term bases. So let's click here where it says translation resources, number 3. Here we get the chance to create or use With create, it will be a translation memory, which is either translation memory or server based. We actually really have to go up here to realize when it's resources. The reason it's called resources is, as well as using, in this case we would select an existing translation memory, either on our computer or in the cloud, there's also machine translation services, or automatic translation as Trados likes to call them. We want to create a translation memory, so let's do that. Call it temp2 as well. These are languages. We could make other choices, but all we need is finish. Once again, we still have these two browse buttons, which is confusing, but we'll accept the default location, and we've given it a name, we have the languages, so click on finish. When it's finished, it will say completed, and we can close this. Now let's make a term base. Again, we're going to make one rather than use one. If we used, now we have a new option, SDL language cloud terminology, linking to a terminology service in the cloud from SDL. Let's make, on our computer, a translation term base. This is just like we saw in 2017. Give it a friendly name, tempi. Choose the languages. I'll click Q, so Portuguese is here. Again, you can use sub-languages, but we tend not to use sub-languages for terminology. The next few screens we don't really need to use or do anything with unless we're making a more sophisticated term base. The logic of this is to try and not have to do steps that you don't really need to spend time on. It's a pity there isn't a similar thing in something like the term base wizard. I still have to click on next, I still have to click on next. All we've done in the term base is give a name and choose the languages. We click on finish, and here we have our term base. Now, if you notice here, we can go to the next step, or what is new is we can just click on finish. So it is possible to start here and just go through all the steps. I still think it's useful to go to the summary in number 8. And I'm afraid this is very, very tiny, so you won't be able to see this very well on the screen, but we see the name, where it is, the source target language, how many files there are, what the translation memories are, and the same for term bases. We can click on summary, finish. And now it's going through the batch tasks, and when we click close, we will have finished the process. Convert to translatable format really means make bilingual files, or XLIF files, or in Trados' case, SDL XLIF files. Copy to target languages is a bit confusing. What this actually means is you have the files to translate in a subfolder, which will be the source language subfolder. You make a target language subfolder, and you copy these bilingual files to that. We're not using perfect match, we're not pre-translating or analyzing, so we're just going to click on close. And now you'll see we have the sample project in the project view. If we double click on it, and by the way, if you notice this is in bold, that means this is the project that's selected. If I double click on that, that is selected. We just double click on the job, and here we are, the files view will open, and we can see 2 files. So we can open this up to translate. and the translation opens up in the editor. So it's a bit like walking down steps. We go from projects to files to editor. Just like MemoQ, we can translate and press Control Enter. This is the same, so we get a hit from the translation results from the translation memory. Over here we have term recognition. So the layout is similar to MemoQ, except this is the source text, the target text, and instead of having a column here, a vertical column for translation results, you have a horizontal area divided into translation results and term recognition. This box is also a very busy box. It also has all these uses. Okay. Now, again, notice that the name of the file we're translating is good morning, .sdlxlif. This is a bilingual file. Also notice that we should save, Control S, or the icon. We should regularly save our work. Unlike MemoQ, when you press Control Enter, MemoQ will remember the bilingual file or the bilingual translations you've been doing. In Trados, you have to remember to save. Now, xlif means bilingual. For Trados, the bilingual file is SDLxlif. How can we save a copy of this file? Well, it's already saved in the project folder, but if we want to save it somewhere else, we go to Advanced Save, and we can make a copy of the file we're working on. In this case, we're making a copy of the SDLxlif file. By the way, notice the default setting is Document Studio 2019, Projects, Name of Project, and this is a subfolder. Just out of interest, a Trados project consists of 3 folders. One for the source files, which have been converted into bilingual, and these are the original files. One for the target files. These have the same name, if you notice. Ruda dos Vinhos, Wikipedia, HTML. If I come here, Ruda dos Vinhos, Wikipedia, HTML, etc. However, as you translate and you save the translation, this file will be updated, just for information. And the third file is for reports, statistics, how many words, how much repetition, and so on. So normally, we would save this file here. However, if we wanted to, we could save this somewhere else, if we just wanted to put it in our own area. You have to be careful though when generating the final translation, as Trados normally needs the source file, needs to be able to locate the source file to save the final file. Let's imagine we've finished translating this and we want to get the final translation. Now there's 2 ways of getting final translations in Trados. One is there is a batch task called finalize, which consists of generating a target translation and also updating the translation memories. So that batch task, you could translate this file, then you could come and translate this file. Just take a little while to open because it's an HTML file. So if we had translated both of these, saved them and closed them, it would be good to run the finalize task in the project view. If we clicked on finalize, it would get the target translations and update the translation memories for all the files in the project. However, you might be a little bit confused with all that. So there is a much simpler way which I recommend. Basically you translate, let me just take this back a step. You've made your project. You open a file in the Files menu, you translate. Save it just to be on the safe side, and then come here where it says File, Save Target As. And then you can save the translation. In this case, we would put it in that Portuguese file. But when we click on File, Save Target As, we get the chance to change the name. In this case, I'm making it clear this is the Portuguese version. If you finalize the files, you just end up with the same name, Good Morning Text, but it happens to be in a subfolder, and I find that very confusing. So we can just save this. Just one more thing I want to show you in this video, which is tags. Now, how can we deal with tags in MemoQ? There are two ways. One is we can copy source to target. If we do that, I'm not sure how to translate this, so my apologies. Now we have the tags. Another way we can do the tags is to press the Control and plus, I beg your pardon, the Control and comma, Control virgula keys. And here I'm offered this A, and here I can press Control and comma. Now I can choose the other one. That's another way of putting tags one at a time. If you delete a tag by mistake, notice we don't lose it completely. It loses some of its color. This is called a ghost tag. It's a bit of a strange idea, but essentially the idea is that, this is probably a mistake. You'll probably want to press Ctrl Z or something. Most tags have a partner. Start bold, stop bold. And the idea is that this will continue to exist until you delete its partner. How can we put the tags back? There are two ways. One is we can select where we want to put the tags, hold down the Control key and click on one of these tags. So 3 steps. Select where. In this case it's between the Ruda dos Vinhos. So select it, hold down the Control key and press one of these. I don't know if you noticed, but I actually selected a space there as well by mistake. Another way we can do it is by using the Control virgula. Now again, we get this idea of a ghost tag reappearing because it puts this second tag, which is a little bit confusing. What I think the program's trying to show you is, hey, don't forget you've got a friend. Don't forget to put that friend somewhere. So Control and comma and put the friend. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video and see you in the next video.